Joining us now to talk more about today's announcements is the leader of the Senate Democratic Conference, JohnSampson. Leader, thanks very much for being here.
Liz, it's always a pleasure to be on your show.
Thank you very much. Okay, so here's the question. How did you get those three Dems who had previously voted no to yes? How did you do it?
It's called trust and confidence. Working with my members, allowing them to do whatever process they needed to do, but most of all, it's about evolution. Allowing them to go out there, allowing them to think for themselves, and don't put the pressure on them. Them knowing that it is so important that we get this thing done, but you have to give them the space that is needed so they can evolve to the point where they are today.
How personal is this for you? I mean, you were really in charge. You were the majority leader when this failed in '09. You referenced that today in your formal remarks at the press conference with the governor, that that moment actually set up the momentum for this moment. Do you feel personally invested that you have to make good, if you will?
It's not personally making good. This is not about me. This is about my conference. This is just about doing the right thing. I think Senator Carl Krueger said it best. It's about doing the right thing. I think we set the groundwork in 2009, and now we're here today with 29 plus Democrats, and indicated a little while ago that Senator Lisi said he would vote for this. So it's, you know, first I needed 3 additional Republicans. Now I only need 2. So the momentum has started by us doing what we did today at 3 o'clock, showing the world that we are 29 strong when it comes to the issue of marriage equality. And let's put it on the floor.
You know, actually, before we start talking about the Republicans and the strategy and everything, I was a little surprised at how easily your conference embraced Senator Krueger. He's really, look, I mean, the guy's been accused of corruption. Senator Duane called him a personal friend. I mean, do you think that this is going to help him in any way, that people will be able to stand up for him and testify to his character because he does this?
Carl Krueger did not do this for somebody to testify about his character. He talked about the evolution of how he got to this point. And he said it's the difference between knowing what is right and what is wrong when dealing with individuals and their relationships. That's how he evolved with respect to this. This is no quid pro quo for him. He's not looking for sympathy. You know, he understands after 2009, the evolution, talking to myself and also Senator Tom Duane, that is how he has reached this point today.
But he was the only one who spoke sort of in personal terms. I mean, when it came to Joe Adabo and Shirley Huntley, they spoke almost entirely about numbers, that this didn't have anything to do, they actually didn't speak about personal conviction. Do you believe that they've personally evolved, or that this is only about representing their districts?
They understood that the most important thing is, when you represent your constituency, it's not about your own personal convictions. It's about the people that you represent. That is why Senator Huntley went through the process, Senator Adabo went through the process, Senator Krueger also went through the process, but it's a little bit more personal for him.
Well, why is it more personal for him?
Because the relationship that he has with Senator Tom Duane, the relationship he has with me, or just talking to him throughout these years of just steering him down the path that he is at today.
Because there's been speculation about his own personal life. You know, it was unfortunately blasted all over the headlines of the tabloids after he was accused of corruption. Is it that personal for him?
Liz, that has nothing to do with it. This is a decision from after the vote we took down 2009. I had conversations with Senator Krueger back in December of 2009, at the end of December 2009, about this issue. And he says, John, I'm going to revisit this. I'm going to look at it. And truth be told, I can say that I had both the confidence in the vote of Senator Krueger and Senator Huntley last year.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, so if that's the case, I mean, let's talk now then about strategy. If you knew that last year you had these two, I mean, you were never going to get Senator Diaz, of course. I mean, why not try and pressure this issue last year? Because it was an election year? Was that the concern?
Not at all. You know, it was last year in, I think it was September, myself, talking with Senator Krueger and Senator Huntley, that they both came around and said that they would support this issue based upon their trust and confidence in my leadership. And Senator Adabo, you know, he has to go through his process, which I respected.
Okay, so now you've had these folks sort of in your pocket, if you will, these yes votes, and you guys waited until today to roll it out, and then subsequently we saw, as you mentioned, Jim Alisi, the first Republican, say that he would be willing to vote. What's the strategy here, and how do we get from where we are now to 2 more Republicans? And let's be honest, it's got to be a couple more. I mean, nobody wants to be that definitive vote that pushes this over the edge and then it stops because they're afraid.
You know, it's not about being afraid. It's about doing the right thing. This is the difference in politics. People elected us to do what is morally correct, not what is politically correct. This is an opportunity right now. You know, it's the same thing. If people always equate this with civil rights, especially during the civil rights movements, individuals wanted, if they wanted to make political decisions, they wouldn't have voted for the civil rights bill, but they did what was morally right and what was morally correct. This is the only thing they're asking now. If you look at the polls, if you look at the momentum, we went from 24 Democrats to 29 Democrats. Now we're 29 Democrats plus 1 Republican, 30. We need 32. So you know what? The ball is in Senator Skelos' court. Produce those 2 votes, we have marriage equality in New York State.
So do you think then, if this is indeed a civil rights issue, would you be willing to stand up and testify about the character of Republicans, like Jim Alisi, for example? Are you still going to take him out in 2012?
Liz, this is not about politics. This is about doing the right thing.
I see.
This is all it's about, doing the right thing. This is the right thing. The evolution has happened, and it's occurring throughout, not only in New York State, but throughout the country. 29 Democrats, we have 1 Republican. Let's do the right thing and pass marriage equality.
But actually, I mean, just to be purely political, it would rob you of a very significant issue and a lot of money. Let's be realistic. The LGBT community, the same-sex marriage advocates have really poured a lot of money into the Democratic coffers. In fact, helped the Democrats flip the Senate into your hands, actually, because they were so desirous of getting same-sex marriage. It didn't work in '09. It might work this time around, and then all of that money's off the table.
So, Liz, basically what you're saying is that the reason we're moving this way is because we're concerned about monies, and you know that's not what we're. That's
with
not.
All due respect, I'm saying that I think that it plays a role. I'm sorry, I've been in Albany a long time. I am a cynical person, it's true, but I just can't believe, even though I know there are a lot of good people in the Senate, that people are doing this only out of the goodness of their hearts.
Liz, this is true. You know, this is an issue that affects a lot of people, not politically, but morally. To come to this point and to vote for marriage equality, it's not about patronage. It's not about money. This is about doing what is morally correct and right.
Okay, so tell me what the next step is. I know that you delivered those 3 votes, that the governor also had something to do with it. Of course, he's been personally engaged on this. What happens next?
What happens next is either we can, the governor sends up a bill, Senator Skelos introduces on the floor, or Senator Skelos introduces a bill for marriage equality on the floor. We're ready to go.
Well, what bill might that be? The bill that Senator Duane actually had? I mean, that bill is still kicking around, isn't it? It's out there.
That bill is still kicking around. We still got the bill from 2009. You know, we want to make this happen the same way we want to make sure that on Wednesday there is not the expiration of the rent laws in New York City, which is so important. 2.5 million New Yorkers will be impacted by the rent laws. So these are priorities that need to be taken care of.
Okay, before we get to the rent laws, and I do want to touch on a few of these outstanding issues, just to be clear, if in fact the governor doesn't send up a bill, you think it would be appropriate for Senator Skelos to put out Senator Duane's bill?
What I think is appropriate, that a bill for marriage equality needs to be put on the floor, and there needs to be an up and down vote.
Okay, let's talk about some of those things that are hanging out there. Obviously, ethics reform today, it was a unanimous vote. Were you surprised by that?
Liz, are you surprised by that? Not me.
Not, well, again, I mean, to be honest with you, Leader, again, it's political. I mean, people saw themselves get defeated in 2010. The governor has been running on the issue of reform and cleaning up Albany. Who can be against reform? It's like apple pie at this point.
Hey, Liz, that is apple pie everybody's eating.
Yeah, indeed, and they're getting awfully full on it, too. Do you think that bill is strong enough?
You know what? It's not everything that we want. You know, we would love to see campaign finance reform in there. This whole thing about the majority, when they go into the minority, still has the majority of votes.
Yeah, I can't believe you voted for that.
This is what we call, in law school, we call that the rule against perpetuity.
But you voted for it.
This is in perpetuity.
How could you have voted for that?
Liz, if you look at it, like I said, you look at the bill in its entirety, there's some great components of that bill, but that is a flaw. That is a serious flaw. When you talk about that, everybody's concerned about partisanships and witch hunts, and the bottom line is, let's don't put ourselves in no predicament so we don't have to worry about it. This has been an opportunity that everybody knows that this exists. So now, everybody who talked about ethics reform, now you have an opportunity. You will have a bill, so now practice what you preach.
Okay, so do you believe, though, that this might be revisited? Because there was a move afoot at one point to pass an amendment that would change the JCOPE, as it's known, the Joint Commission on Public Integrity, or whatever it's gone through a number of iterations, but the new Oversight Commission. Do you believe that there will be an amendment in the Senate?
Liz, I think what we're waiting for the passage of the bill,
right.
And once there is a passage of the bill, I think we need to see how the bill is executed and implemented, and at that point in time, we can pick up the shortfalls or the pitfalls in the bill. Okay,
and one last question here. You mentioned the issue regarding ethics, rent regulations,
That's
which
right,
of course
rent.
are about
important.
to expire on June 15th. You had a member of your conference today who was arrested as part of a sit-in down in the war room at the Capitol. Do you believe that the tax cap bill will continue to be linked to rent laws? Because it seems to me that there's a move afoot to have a temporary extension to give everybody a little bit more breathing room.
The extension to give everyone a little bit more breathing room, but property tax cap is an important issue because we know that a lot of our constituents throughout the state of New York are being priced out of their homes because of these high property taxes. But at the same time, you have 2.5 million New Yorkers who will be facing evictions if these laws expire. We need to do the right thing. We need to not only extend them, but we need to expand them. We need to expand the protection that is necessary and needed for those 2.5 million New Yorkers.
Well, I'm not so sure that the Senate Republicans are down with that, but we shall see. I want to thank you very much, Senate Minority Leader John Sampson. It's always great to see you.
Always great to see you, Liz.